Hi, welcome to Stories Around the Fire. Tonight's guest is Taylor Stonebarger. She is a teacher in Northern California, and we're going to talk to her about how she feels about everything going on with the pandemic. Um, she's also kind of close to the fires that are happening out there right now, so we'll talk about that a little bit too. And we'll talk about what the school year looks like for her, how she's dealing with all the changes, and how she got to where she is right now. So, one moment, and I will give you guys a fun fact. Taylor is my baby cousin. I haven't seen her in a very long time. Probably close to, oh geez, maybe like, let's see, 15 years. It's probably been about that long, so it's been a really long time since I've seen her. So we'll get her on here, and it'll be like a big reunion. Also, I'm in a different spot tonight because I had some issues that don't matter. It has to do with outlets in my light. But that's why you see weird stuff in the background. There she is.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing all right. Thank you so much for being here. Coming on, let me back this up a little. This always happens.
No worries. I know. I'm like, oh, I need to put my arm farther out.
Situated. Yeah. Um, Thank you for being here. I'll just jump right into it. Um, so you're a teacher.
hmm
You teach elementary?
Yeah, I teach first grade.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
I just started my second year, so last year is my first.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you decide to become a teacher?
Um, my freshman year of college, I like went to college and went as a pre-med major and wanted to be a doctor. And then I took like this random teaching course kind of in secret from my family. So like because I told everyone for like 10 years that I really wanted to be a doctor. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll try this teaching class. And I student taught in a oh no.
It's okay, keep going.
I student taught in the third grade classroom and totally fell in love with teaching and was like, oh no, this is what I want to do. Um,
Oh,
and so I knew I wanted to do like elementary aged kids, and then I ended up sticking with that teaching program like all through college. Um, and it was like so impactful of my whole life's kind of trajectory.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you probably got done with school before you would have, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
college. Sorry, let me get in this other light. There we go. I'm sorry. I've been having light issues. Anyways, um, so do you teach all the subjects?
Yeah. So I do a multiple subject teaching credential. So I do all the subjects.
Wow. Which one's your favorite to teach?
Science, definitely science,
What?
which is really funny because in college I was like the teaching program I was in was actually a STEM teaching program, and mostly STEM majors joined it, but I was a poli sci major, and so I was totally the outcast and like kind of known as the non-STEM one. But then at my school, like I'm like the sciencey teacher, and I'm the one who does all the science projects, and just I do a ton of different STEM activities in my classroom. And so it's like kind of flipped and been really fun to kind of take on that persona, which I feel like I was still like, no, I'm not STEMmy. Like I'm not into science or math,
Right.
but actually I love teaching it. It's so fun to do experiments with, especially the little kids that like any
Oh,
experiment is so cool to them.
right. They haven't seen anything yet.
Right. The like
You
littlest
can,
thing is like, oh my God, that's so cool.
right. You can really wow them.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you've probably had a ton of challenges now that the pandemic has happened, but not counting the COVID stuff, what do you think? What do you think was your biggest challenge?
Um, I so like when I started teaching, and I still don't. I'm still working on my credential right now. And so when I started teaching, I was what they call an intern teacher, which means I basically just teach on a California issued permit. And I wasn't in a credentialing program. I did do that undergraduate teaching program, but it didn't give me, like, it wasn't for a teaching license. Um, and it was also like that one semester was focused on elementary, but the rest of it was high school. And so like I really had no formal training of how to be a teacher when I started. Um,
Oh,
so it was like a little bit like thrown to the wolves. It was a lot of like learning as I went, and I think that was hard. I mean, I look back on my first few weeks of teaching, and it's just like I had no idea what I was doing at all.
right.
I was totally just going in blind. So I think that was really just like not knowing how to handle certain situations, or like I don't like how to teach math. Like how do you teach adding and subtracting? I mean, God, just like
Right.
some of the things that are so second nature to us, like you don't think about when you're trying to really break them down for kids.
Yes.
Like I don't even know what an equal sign is, you know, and
Right.
so like stuff like that that might seem really basic was such a challenge to do the first year because it was all just so new, and then I hadn't really had any preparation for it.
Right. Yeah, I can see, I can imagine. Um, having just one to teach is a lot, so I can't even I can't even imagine. What's the funniest thing a kid has ever said to you?
Oh my God. Well, I teach first grade, so they're hilarious. Like, and they say really funny stuff. Like 6-year-olds are the best. They say the funniest thing. So many good things. I had a kid one time who we went out to the track for PE, and he was like running laps, and he was running so fast. And I was like, oh my God, you're going so fast. Like you're pushing yourself so hard. And he's like, yeah, I run this fast because when I'm running, I can feel my knees growing. And like,
Wow.
he's like, so I run really fast all the time. So that way my knees grow really big and strong. And it was like, oh. So that was like a really cute, funny thing. But oh God, they say funny stuff all the time, and they do funny, weird stuff all the time.
Right. Yeah, they're pretty weird.
They're super weird.
But though, I mean, honestly, it's easy to be comfortable around them because they do so many weird, awkward things. It's kind of like, yeah, I hear you, kid. Like,
Totally. I feel like you can be really weird and awkward, and the kids think at that age that it's really
right.
endearing, and they're like, oh, I relate to you because I'm weird and awkward too. And where like high school age kids would more make fun of you for
Oh,
that.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I think everybody can agree, or I'm not going to generalize it. Most people will agree that teachers are some of the most influential people in your life. I think everybody has at least one teacher where they're like, man, that person was really important to me. That person was really good. If not, several teachers from different levels. Does that make the job, knowing that, does that make the job more intimidating or more fulfilling or both?
Definitely more fulfilling. I mean, more intimidating, and then I'm like, dang, I really hope I don't mess a kid up by like saying something, like, because I'm sure you have teachers where you're like, they said that one thing to me, and
And
like
it,
right, like I had a teacher in high school who once told me I was a B student, and I like still remember it and can't get over it because I'm like, no, I'm not.
I'm a perfectionist. No, I'm not.
like, but I think for me, it definitely makes it more fulfilling, and that's been one of the hardest things with COVID, is that I don't feel connected to my kids. And I had such a strong classroom community last year and felt like, wow, I'm making a difference. And teaching is so hard and life consuming. I mean, so life consuming that it would be really worth it to know, like, oh my gosh, I really impacted like this kid on this day, and to know that I was making a difference. And so I think like it definitely, for me, like that's what fills my cup. That's why I do this job. It's not intimidating for me.
Right. And so is it, having them, in person and being able to see, what you've done or how they, interact with you, how you positively affected them. And like you said, it's not as easy to do with COVID and everything. You guys are virtual right now, is that right?
Yeah, we're 100% virtual right now.
And is that just something that you're taking like, okay, this is temporary, I'll get to be back to where it's like totally, fulfilling, or is it like kind of scary that, you know?
Um, it's neither like scary or I feel like I mean I'm hopeful in that like I think I cling to that we're gonna get back to normal.
Yeah.
Um, but it's really exhausting and really overwhelming. Like it's so much harder this year than it was last year. And on top of like the job being harder, it changes every day. I mean, we had staff meetings today and it was like 5 things that we've been doing for the last 5 weeks are going to change tomorrow. And so like it's just like constantly changing, and sometimes their district changes, sometimes their state changes. But it's like every meeting, every email, there's more work. And so like teaching's really exhausting right now, and it's really overwhelming, and so it's hard sometimes to even like compare the two. um
Right.
yeah, I mean, I did the other day. I was like on a walk and I saw one of my former students, and he was outside of his house, like across the street, and he started jumping up and down. And I was like, oh, there's one of my kids, and was so excited. And I almost cried. And it was like,
Yeah.
like a reminder of like, that's why I do this. And I had one of my also former students like a couple weeks ago was just like, can I call you? And she FaceTimed me and she was like, I just had to call you because I missed your face so much. And it's like that kind of relationship is like, oh, okay, if I can get through this year to get back to that, like that's what I want to do. But it doesn't feel like that most days. Most days I'm just like, oh, this job.
Right. Yeah. It
Yeah.
sounds like it's really rough, on parents, students, teachers, especially the students and the teachers, because no, this is all new,
Yeah.
especially for, I don't know, for them, like it just seems like a whole lot, and I don't know.
Well, yeah, and first graders don't know how to use technology. So like,
Right.
and some
Anyways.
of right, and like some of their parents don't either. Like last week, I taught someone how to refresh an internet page and like what that means to refresh an internet page. Like I have never had to teach somebody that. So that was like a weird thing of like, oh, now I'm teaching tech tutorials to parents on top of teaching tech tutorials to children. And mind you,
Right.
like first graders can't type, they can't read.
Right.
So it's like you're showing every assignment how to do it. Most of the stuff is like we have to do drag and drop kind of stuff, and um it's
Aw,
hard because of they just like the tech is not there.
yeah, that sounds really rough.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know it's the best that, everybody's got right now, but ugh,
Yeah.
sounds pretty rough. Okay, so with everything going on in the world and things changing, and, some conversations that might take place whenever, I mean, I guess it's probably not going to happen on virtual, but whenever everything goes back to normal, do you feel comfortable and prepared to like answer questions that kids may have that, are a little like, what do I say, those unusual or those touchy questions? You
Um
know how kids are.
yeah, no, I know. And they say like really weird stuff and they ask really weird questions. So I don't think, I mean, oh my gosh, first graders have no filter. And so
Yeah.
I'm constantly like fielding those really tough, weird questions about things because they don't even know, they just ask whatever that comes to mind. So I feel like, yeah, I think as prepared as I can be. The really tricky thing is the parents,
Yeah.
and sometimes kids ask questions and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should answer this, or how I
Ask
should
your
answer this,
mom, dear.
or right. And it's that part is really hard. Or like even there's questions where like the kids might ask in front of everyone, and I'm like, oh, if I answer this, like this one kid's mom might get mad that the rest of you should know. Um,
Right.
yeah. So I think yes, but no, also because I just like never know what they're gonna ask or what they're gonna say.
Right. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So how is the vibe at school different? Like obviously the kids aren't there, so that's a big, thing, but as far as like all of the teachers, how are they feeling like in general?
Really overwhelmed. Um, a lot of teachers, like my school is great, and last year like it was just like we are like super lovey, and we're all good friends, and we all hang out outside of school and tell each other we love each other, and it's just like it's like joyous to work there and be there. And so many of us have talked about how this year is just like it's somber and it feels overwhelming and it's sad. And like a lot of teachers are like on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, just to try to cope. Like we're, you know, more of us are going into therapy. Like it's so hard because we're kind of doing all the parts of our job that we don't like. Like we're doing all this online stuff. We're dealing with parents way more than we would have, dealing with a ton of stuff coming from our admin, coming from the state. And we're not getting to really see kids. I mean, we're doing this online stuff, but it's just like not the same and not comparable to last year. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so it just kind of feels like our cup's not being filled, and that's been really difficult for all of us. And so I think like the vibe is really hard. A lot of us are just so overwhelmed and so tired. I mean, like you should see our virtual staff meetings. Everyone just looks so sad, which I hate to say because, you know, like I wish that it was different, but it's
Right.
It's a lot. It's really, really hard for us to be away from our kids and to also be relearning how to do our jobs and adapting. And like, I'm really privileged in that I'm young and I know how to use technology, but like I devote an hour or so to my day and sometimes like the weekends to helping the older teachers and teaching them technology because they're just totally in over their heads because, you know, we had no formal training on our end of how to use technology. And at least at my school, you know, there's like of our 25 teachers, I think 8 of us are like under 30 and then the rest are over, and a lot of them are just so uncomfortable, especially our veteran teachers, with technology and don't know how to use all of these programs that we're now rolling out and trying to teach to families. And it's hard to teach something that you don't know how to use. So that's been like, that too has added so much stress to, you know, like it adds to my day when I'm trying to teach another teacher how to do stuff and support them. It adds stress to those veteran teachers where they normally would feel more than comfortable and be the leaders in the classroom and at the school. And now they're like having to lean on the new teachers for all this help. Yeah. So I think that like the vibe is rough. It's really hard. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
That's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bummer. I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing like the very best that you can. And I'm sure everyone's trying their, you know, best to just cope with everything. But yeah, it sounds really rough. And
Yeah.
I hate that. Like, I mean, safety first, but like, I certainly hope that, you know, everybody gets back to normal soon
Yeah.
with the appropriate, within the appropriate timeline and safety measures. Of course, I don't mean, you know,
Yeah.
throw them back in there. That is not what I mean.
No, I totally get that. Like I have days where I'm like, just bring him back. I don't even care.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right.
I mean, I do obviously care, but just bring him back of like, I just want them back so bad. And it's like so much harder
That
here that I just,
desperation.
yeah, it's like desperate. Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm trying to throw their safety to the wind or mine or my fellow colleagues, but there's this little selfish part of me that's like,
Yeah.
let's just bring him back. Like, let's just
I
do it,
got
please,
it. You know, for the kids.
for the kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So what are some of your fears for when things do seem to be back to normal and they do bring the kids back in?
Um, the inequity that's happening right now is probably my biggest. Like, kids are getting different educations depending on their district, depending on their state. You know, we like some kids, I think, in the Midwest are back to school 5 days a week, and the in-class education just, in my opinion, doesn't compare to what we're offering online. You know, in a we do 4 hour days from 9 to 1, and I have 12 meetings with students in that time, 12 groups, and it's like
Wow.
it's like 15-minute spurts. You know, I see them for a 10-minute check-in in the morning, and then I do these 15-minute groups that are like, they're just not, you know, it's not as hearty as it would be. It's not as meaningful. It just feels like, and then, you know, students who don't have internet access are doing these like work packets. And hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Someone's knocking at my door. I'm so sorry to like interrupt mid thing. Hey, can you answer the door? What? Someone's knocking on the door. Will you grab it? I'm sorry. Lane had his headphones in, so we can't hear anything. Anyways, so yeah, I think the inequity, just because like we have kids who are doing these work packets and they're not getting the same education. Like they're doing these paper packets, they're not getting teacher interaction, they're not getting student interaction. Um, they're doing packets at home with their parents, and not docking parents. But if you don't set out to be a homeschool teacher, like I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of, I can't monitor or know what kind of education they're getting besides these packets that I'm offering.
Right.
But I know the packets aren't as good as what I'm offering online. And I know what I'm offering online is not as good as what I could offer in the classroom. And so it's like that part's hard, even if we try to make it as equitable as we can with the, the packets versus the kids who are meeting online with. It's hard because those kids are getting my immediate support. They're getting these pretty fun, cool activities we're making for online or that we're buying for online. And even just that interaction with other students, because like so much of this range too is social and emotional growth. And those kids aren't getting that. And so it makes me nervous for coming back of like where students will be. It's like the haves versus the have nots. And even the kids who are online, some of them have their parents who sit right there and support them and help them with all their work. And then some kids are left just to like figure it out. And we have some kids who are 8 kids in a daycare. And we have one daycare provider who's trying to get all these kids online. And
Can't do it all.
right, you just can't do it all. And so it's just like, it really is, privilege is coming out and showing so much, even just if everyone's online, like what kind of setting they have to work in. I have one student who, whenever he unmutes his mic to talk, you can hear he's got construction happening at his house, and he's sitting in the kitchen. You can see like there's a guy in a ladder and he's like drilling, and they had hammering at one point. And so like whenever he unmutes his mic, it's so loud I can hardly hear him. It's like, how are you learning in that environment?
Right. That
And
just
right, the distraction of just like the yeah, I mean, you really see kind of inside to the kids' lives a lot more than I normally would, where I'm getting to see their homes and their families and the type of interactions that they have with their siblings and their grandmas and grandpas and who's taking care of them. And it's really going to be the situation of haves and haves not next year. And I think that's like what I'm most scared about. Not even like health stuff, of just like, I think that of trying to recover
yeah.
from that.
Yeah. It sounds like it might just be like unfortunately a bit like a do-over situation, like
Yeah.
for a lot of them. I mean, I'm sure some are like really, holding on, but it sounds like, and I can imagine families with multiple children and, one parent or, one adult trying to bounce in between and make sure they're getting everything and, just there's a million different situations that,
So
they could be
many.
going through and not being able to, get what you want to give them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so hard with the littles where you like the parents are having to stay home or find daycare for them because you can't leave them like high schoolers, and the kids are really at the mercy of their parents' schedule. Like I have a kid whose mom gets dialysis 3 times a week, and during those 3 days, the kid doesn't come to class, so she's only getting 2 days of instruction with me. But the way that the law is working, or that California's passed, and I know some other states have passed, is like if you have contact with a parent in a day, you get to mark them present. And so like that student will come to the 9 a.m. meeting and then won't come for the rest of the day. So I saw her. She's present for the entire day, even though she's not actually getting any of the curriculum, any of the instruction that I'm offering. Um, and so like it's just kind of like this is like how kids are falling through the cracks, because normally we'd mark them absent and then there'd be follow up if it wasn't excused, and
Right.
follow up by the school, follow up by the county, like follow up by the state if needed with the SARB process. And that's not happening now. Kids are checking in, they're getting their attendance taken, and then whatever
Yeah.
the parent schedule is, like they can bounce and they don't have to be there. And like we don't hold students at the school I work at. We don't do retention and hold students back. So like no one's going to fail first grade, but what they take from first grade to second grade is like totally going to vary on like like I said, haves and haves nots of like what can your parents provide.
Right.
And it's no longer like here's what the school's providing, here's what I'm providing. It's all about what their home life is providing them, and I'm just there and they can log on or not, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, you know, hopefully everybody gets used to it because you guys just started, right?
Yeah, so we're in our fourth week now of instruction.
Oh wow, so a month, yeah.
Hmm. So we've been in
Mm.
it.
Yeah, wow. So what precautions could you see as really like how you would get back to where you want to be? Like what do you what would need to be in place for you to go feel comfortable with everything?
Like
Cool.
safety wise, um, that's hard. I mean, I think,
No.
yeah, that's a hard question. I mean, I think like, mask wearing is so important and I've seen a lot of kids that I just know, who have practiced wearing masks at home and they feel comfortable wearing masks out. And I think if we could get, the kids to be wearing masks at school, that would be a huge barrier of like the safety concern.
Yeah.
And then also the smaller groups. I mean, at one point my district talked about doing these groups of 12. And then the kids would get like a half day kind of thing twice a week. But
That's
even 12 is a lot when you're in first grade because like first graders
yeah.
like they eat their own boogers and they're like really touchy feely with each other and they like hold hands and they
They're
like
all in each other's face.
yeah they like lick things, they lick you. I mean there's just like it's so much and so even 12 kids seems like a lot to me where um
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean I think I'm more comfortable because again, like I'm privileged and that I'm young and I'm healthy. And so I personally for my classroom feel more comfortable having 12 kids come back. Um, but a lot of the like older teachers don't.
Right.
That's not, how they feel at all. And I would never want to speak for them. But I think for safe for everyone, I think it's going to end up coming down to like a vaccine situation. I know that herd immunity is not really an option because of how high the death rate would have to be for that. But the tricky thing is, not all parents want to vaccinate their kids.
Right.
So it's like, it really feels like a catch-22 situation where it's just like, I don't know what the right thing is to come back. I think like I am pro vaccinating, but I know not everybody is.
Right.
And I know that like obviously not everyone's going to feel comfortable with this very first round of vaccines, which I understand completely.
Yeah.
I'm pro vaccines who have gone through the thorough trial
Right.
testing,
Exactly.
like um, yeah. And so I think, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to have to be either like the masking situation, and I just also feel like it's the people realizing that like you can't social distance first graders. Like you can't, it's the classrooms aren't big enough. You
Right.
like I have a friend who's back at school because she teaches in a private school and it's like kids are confined to their desks all day. And that's
Mhm.
how they do it. And it's like that's not healthy for anybody. I'd rather have the kids at home and I'm on a screen and like even though I hate that so much, I know that they're playing and they're running around and they're getting up and moving with me and they're doing stuff. And I think, I would want them to come back to a situation where they got to have that social and emotional growth by playing with each other and being close together and having our rug time, that we spend together on the carpet and getting to do all those things. I think they're so important, especially in first grade, for their like success and their growth.
Definitely.
I don't know. I think until those things are in place, it's going to be like until those things are able to happen. I think it'll be really hard to get them back. But I know that a lot of districts are pushing for it, and I think our district is thinking about it. We're reevaluating in October, so like we're set to do distance learning until October 9th, and then they're going to reevaluate, and we could go back like the 10th.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
close.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. What are y'all's numbers like over there? I mean, I don't expect you to know a specific number, but
No, that's okay. I mean, small town. I kind of do know like more of a specific. We've had I think it's like the last thing I checked, we've had 60 cases in Fort Bragg. Our population is 7,000 for reference. So, what, not even 1% yet. 70 would be our 1%. So, not terrible. Um, but it is a really small town. And so, people are being super precautious here. There's a statewide mask order here in California. And so, everyone's wearing masks all the time. Everyone's social distancing. Like, not all of our restaurants are open. Most of them are, dine outs. Like people are taking a ton of precautions here, and I think that's why it's not spreading as
Yeah.
or as fast. Because we didn't even see our first case until uh, June or July, I think, and this started in March, and that's when we left school on March 16th was our last day, and like we didn't get our first case until the summer. Because we our county had a mask order like starting in April or May.
Good.
We've been doing it for a long time, so everyone's pretty used to it now. But yeah, the numbers are not as good as we'd like them to be. We actually had our nursing home here is where the first case was, and it ended up killing like 9 of our elderly
Wow.
population, all within like a 2-week span. So that was really tough, and kind of like the worst place for it to go. But
Right.
um, yeah, that's like kind of been our only deaths though have been just the ones from our senior center. I think there was 9 or 10 of them.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that it's not spreading, super, super crazy. But something that is spreading is the fire. Tell me about that.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that fire season is like a little bit normalized here. Not normalized, but it's kind of like, oh, you're almost like desensitized to it, like when so many bad things happen and it's kind of like, oh, it's 2020. Like, of course, there's a freaking
Right.
fire, another one. California had several years in a row of really bad fires. I mean, of course, like in 2018, we had the campfire in Paradise. That was, just horrifying. And then even, last year and this year, we've had some pretty big fires. Um, right now, the closest fire to us is about 30 miles away. So it's about 45-minute drive from us. A lot of people are evacuating over to Fort Bragg because here on the coast, we're pretty safe. We've never had like a fire spread to us in all of the fire history. We end up being like kind of a safe haven evacuation site for people, but this is the closest one's ever been to us, and so a lot of people are a little on edge because we're everyone else's safe haven. So we're like, well, where do we go? There's nowhere for us to get to. And the really tricky thing is that the fire is in Willits, and to get out of Fort Bragg, you have to go on Highway 20, which takes you to Willits. Like it takes you go from Fort Bragg out to the other side is Willits. And so kind of like our only way out is to go the fire way, or we can go up the one, which takes us to Eureka area. So it kind of limits our options too, of like where we're going, how we're getting out. But right now we're safe. Everyone in my, mine and Lane's family is safe. But definitely a lot of high stress. It's just kind of like, oh my goodness. And I'm sure that, last year PG&E did the planned power outages. I'm not sure if you know about those. Yeah. So they've been doing those a lot more in California since the Paradise Fire. And last year Fort Bragg was without power for like 2 weeks.
Oh, I
And
think I remember seeing that on, yeah.
yeah. And so I'm waiting for them to be like, all right, the fire's close enough. Like we're shutting stuff down. But yeah, not sure. I mean, I know our city bought like some really big generators and stuff to power the town after last year's power outage
Nice.
that lasted so long. Um, but I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. I don't think the fires will get to us, but I definitely think there's going to be a power outage coming our way to like kind of try to quell some of that.
Right. Oh, that's so terrible. I mean, I'm glad you're in a safe place, obviously, but everybody's just having to run and stuff and losing stuff.
And the animals stresses me out. People's animals. I mean, I live in a studio, but I'm like, I'll take any of your animals.
I will find somewhere for them.
Right. Like they can, sleep on my bed, my dog's bed. Like we have a couch they can sleep on. It's like, I mean, of course people too, but I'm more worried about the animals when it
Right.
comes to like not having a place for them. Yeah, but it's definitely really scary, and I'm glad that we're safe where we are for now. And um, yeah, I hope that everyone stays safe. It's always really stressful for I think all of California when it feels like it's like the whole state's on fire half the time.
Yeah.
Never just
Yeah.
one big fire. It's like all throughout. Several big fires.
I know when we went on vacation, I think it was 2018. We went through, I think it was Santa Rosa, and they said like the year before that, or maybe 2 years back, like it had like like almost wiped them out, and they were all like
Yeah,
still talking about it, like kind of like still scared. And I mean, I don't know. That's just, it kind of gives you, I don't mean to like throw this word around or anything, but I feel like people probably after like natural disasters like that have like a form of PTSD, like where you're
it's
just thinking.
yeah, it's scary. I know I've had a couple of friends whose families like have moved because of the fires and just been like, we're not even doing that again. I
Yeah.
had a friend whose parents' house burned down and they rebuilt and it burned down again a second time. And so
Oh,
then they just like decided to move out of state
yeah.
because they just had been devastated by the fires twice. And yeah, I mean, I think for sure it's really scary. And places like Santa Rosa where it was like, took out a whole little part, in Paradise where it was the whole town. I think that can really be so traumatic for people, to lose everything. And it's not like California has one fire and it's done. It's every year we're going through these fire seasons that are so big that it's like, oh, you can't even, say, okay, I got through it and now it's never going to happen again, because you don't know if it's going to happen.
And you said like now y'all are kind of at the point where it's like, it's where's it, where is it this season?
Yeah, it's too close for us.
Yeah. So do you have like an evacuation plan just in case?
We don't. I mean, I don't think we're there yet. The fire that's near Willits, it's like not actually in Willits. It's a little bit outside of Willits, but has like really. I was gonna say blew up, but that's so not the right thing to say. It got much bigger today, and like where we were seeing the effects here with like the smoky orange skies and stuff that we weren't necessarily seeing yesterday is bad. And so I think people are starting to stress. Like I know like Lane's family is called and like his grandparents are starting to stress a little bit. And but I don't think we're quite to like an evacuation plan. I'm not sure what
Wow.
to do, but yeah.
That's terrible.
Well,
I'm sorry, it does. I've somewhat ran from hurricanes, obviously dealt with tornadoes, but
yeah.
fire, man, that just, you know, fast moving, fast spreading fires, terrifying.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably out of all of the things, that's probably the scariest. I'm sorry, I'm just making this worse. Okay, so at the end of every interview, I ask for a story. It can be any type of story. Sorry, my cats are making noise.
That's okay.
Right. Yeah, you say that now. But yeah, do you have a story for us?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, or like what I told you before, I'm getting married in 10 days.
Yay.
Um, yay. Thank you. It's been really crazy. COVID wedding. We were supposed to get married in June and then we postponed to October and then we postponed to next September. And we were like, let's just elope this September and celebrate next year on our 1 year anniversary. So it kind of feels like, oh, finally, like we're finally doing the thing. So I would tell you the story of how I got engaged, because it makes me laugh and it's also sweet. But yeah, so I thought I would do that one since the wedding's so close. So I went to school in Washington, D.C., and Lane, my fiance, would come visit me all the time. We were middle school sweethearts, so he's like my very first boyfriend. I was his girlfriend. And then like we dated for a year in middle school, broke up, got back together in high school. Then we were high school sweethearts, and then ended up breaking up again. And then when Lane went to college, he's a year older than me. And then we got back together when I was a freshman, and he lived in California, and I lived in DC, and we just did long distance for 3 years, which was a little bit crazy. Yeah. But so he would come visit often, and every time we started, the very first time he came to visit, I like really wanted to pick out this nice fancy restaurant to take him to, and I picked Old Ebbitt Grill, which is right next door to the White House. Like it's like the White House, and then there's another building I'm forgetting the name of, and then there's Old Ebbitt Grill, and it's like this beautiful restaurant. It's so nice. It's very classy, and we would like use that as our big date night. The date night we'd have every like 3 months whenever he'd come to visit, or every 6 months. totally like our splurge thing, but we would do it every time he came to visit. On the last night he was there, we'd always go out to Old Ebbitt. And then so when he came for my college graduation, lots of people came, but he was going to be there like the last night before we left because I was moving back home to California. And I was like, let's go to Old Ebbitt. Like, we got to go. It's our last night in DC. We have to go there. And he was totally all for it. And I had no idea he was going to propose. He's really horrible at keeping secrets and surprises. Like, he's always like, I have a surprise for you, or like,
Right.
oh, I have something for you when you get home, but like, won't tell you about it. It's like, he's so bad about it. So I told him years ago, like, if you propose, I don't want to know about it. I don't want to know anything about it. Like, please keep this a secret from me. And so we were on our way to the restaurant, and we're in this Uber, and Lane had the ring in his right pocket, and I was sitting on his right side, and I like poked it and was like, what is that? And he's all, it's my iPhone charger. Like, I'm going to plug in my phone at the bar. And I'm like touching the ring case. And he said later, he's like, I thought I was going to have to like fucking propose in this Uber to you because you wouldn't like stop touching the ring box in my pocket. But I believed him that it was like the little square cube for his iPhone charger. I was like, oh, okay,
Right.
whatever. And so we got to the restaurant, and we sat at the bar, and he was like, I gotta pee. And I'm like, okay, he goes pee and he comes back. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, I gotta pee again. I was like, okay, this is like, whatever. We're drinking, I guess. So like, that's fine.
Right.
And then again, 10 minutes later, the man has to pee again. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And so I was like, that's weird. But anyways, whatever. And so we get to the table, and he says he has to pee again after we ordered. And he leaves. And he makes this whole deal about how he's like, man, I just have this like kitten bladder tonight. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm just peeing a lot. I was like, okay, like, that's fine. And then he says again, I have to go pee. And so he leaves, and he comes back like 10 seconds later. And I was like, man, did you pee already? Right. I was like, did you pee already? And then he got down on one knee and proposed. So like right before he proposed, I'm like, did you go pee? And in this restaurant, like, as like what he was really doing the whole time, right? So dumb, like what I would say. What he was really doing was going up to the host because he had called ahead and said he was going to propose and he wanted to get it on video. And so, but he was like talking to her and letting her know we were there and we were where we were sitting and all the things. And he had gone to get her, which only took 10 seconds. And then did you go pee already? And then he's, will you marry me? Like right after that, that was his response. And so it was like, oh my God. So it was super romantic in that, like, we, we're at this, just kind of our favorite restaurant ever now, and all the things, but the whole night, like, was about him and his bathroom issue of like having to pee all the time. Like the lead up to it was really weird. Like,
That's funny. That is so funny. Did you immediately just say yes, or were you like, wait a minute?
I said seriously like a couple times. And then and I was like, well, yeah, of course. But it was it was so great, but it was like a little bit awkward just because the setting was like, it's like, one of those upscale quiet restaurants, and people like didn't clap or do anything normal. They just looked and were like, what's going on? Like, this guy's on the floor. And but it was like sweet and perfect, and I was totally in shock and like barely had an appetite to eat my food after. So excited. Yeah.
Precious. That's so cute.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Definitely. It's memorable. If you guys want to have kids, end up having kids, you'll have a story.
That's true. And a story about our wedding, we keep joking that like, our the generation before us, or our grandparents always have like the, my going to school story is like uphills both ways. And we're like, well, that's what ours is for the wedding. It's like uphills both ways. We're just trying to freaking get married. And
2020 wedding is the new uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So definitely like we'll have a story to share for sure.
Definitely. Sorry, I have a visitor.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, kitty. Oh my goodness. So chunky.
Yeah. Oh my God. You should see the red one. Okay. So you want to play a game? Let me see if we got time.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so this is called Great Minds Think Alike, and I don't even know if I have the right rules because whenever whenever I find these games, I kind of have to like try to adapt them to a phone conversation type thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out. This is our first time doing this one, so
I'm so glad though that like you're my cousin and I'm doing it with my family, so that it's at least
I
not
know.
like if I totally embarrass myself, it's okay. It's I mean it's on the
Oh
internet.
no, and you know what? I mean, like I'm so awkward. Like if anything happens, I'll make it even more awkward.
No, it's
No, 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 it'll be on me, and it's fine. Okay. No, the fun thing is, yeah, I told in the beginning, I was telling everybody like I don't think I've seen you in person in like maybe like 15 years,
a long
maybe
time.
longer, maybe, unless I'm totally forgetting something, which is
I don't think so because I don't think when you were in California 2 years ago we didn't see each other, and so it was like, yeah, I don't even remember. I mean, I'm 22 now, so it's been a long time. If I don't even I
oh,
can't remember. Family reunion maybe that you came to. I'd have to say was probably the last
I
time.
did. When I was 18, I came to a family reunion, and then I came back 2 years later. Wait, 20? No, I came back 1 year later, like well, with a friend. And yeah, I think I stayed with y'all for like a few days. I don't know. I could have it backwards though.
It's been a long time. That's what we know.
It has been, yes. And that was a time in my life when sometimes I can't remember stuff that happened. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It wasn't that bad. I'm just getting old. Yeah. Okay. So Great Minds was gonna be fun because it was gonna be fun because we could be like, oh yeah, the okay, wait. The idea is that I'll read a topic. We were both going to write down our answer, but we're not going to write it down. We're just going to say it because writing it down. Regina is laughing at us in the comments.
I love all of her comments. She's been like laughing as we go the whole time, or like commenting back on or whatever I'm saying. She's been like making me laugh the whole time.
Oh. Um, so yeah, we were going to both write down our answer and see if it's the same one. The point of this is to not just come up with one, but to try to come up with what you think the other person.
Oh God, okay.
I know, right? And which is kind of weird because I mean, we're related, so that's cool, but like we don't really, we haven't known each other as like true adults.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. All right. Um, the first topic is an expensive type of car. And my mind just went totally blank.
Okay. An expensive type of car that you would want, or that just like that you would think of.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
This is
I mean, I could think of one that maybe
okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Ferrari.
me. Okay. But kind of the same,
It is. Same family.
Yeah, both
Kind of.
cars, kind of. They probably would be really upset if we were comparing them like that, though. If we were like, oh, the same, they're the same. They'd be like, no.
We're going to hear from their companies. Something you would find at a county fair. Let me think on it.
Okay, I've got.
What do y'all have at y'all's county fair?
Yeah, okay, I got it. What I would think that everyone. Well, I think this is what everyone would think of, but.
Oh. Okay, I guess I'm ready.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Pony.
Like the food, corn dogs, caramel apples, like.
Well, I mean, I think your answer made a lot more sense than mine. Oh, this is so broad. Why did I choose this one? Popular television show. What do y'all watch over there on the West Coast? Let me think.
I mean, and of course, all I can think of are the shows that I watch. Like, I can't think of anything else because, but oh, okay, popular TV. Okay, I could think of one that lots of people have watched, I think. I don't
I'm ready.
know. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
The
Law and Order.
Okay, that's like a classic TV one, though. Maybe I should have gone with that.
That's funny. What did you say?
The Office, because I feel like everybody watches The
Oh,
Office.
Office. Why didn't I say that? Oh my God.
We love The Office.
Law and Order. That's for old people now, ain't it?
I wasn't gonna say it because we're live on the internet, but I didn't want to call you out. But it's for.
Oh no, I am totally comfortable being elderly in my old age. I feel blessed. I really do love being old. Okay, a movie title with the word love in it.
Okay. Okay.
I can only think of one right now.
Well, I can think of two, but I'll say the first one that came to my mind though.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Love Actually.
Which is funny because I don't think I've ever seen that movie, but that
Me
was the first one that came to my mind. That's so funny.
I have never seen it. You know what else I haven't seen that everyone's seen? Let's see if you can guess this.
Is it like a saga or is it a singular movie?
One movie that every female I know has watched.
Oh, he's just not that into you? Is that one?
I've watched that, girl.
Or, God, I don't know.
The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook. Yeah, I've seen that one.
You have?
Yeah.
Regina, have you seen The Notebook? Let's find out. Let's find out down there.
She's side-eyeing me hard. I think that's judgment about you not seeing The Notebook.
It absolutely is. All right, something you eat during the summer.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, man. Oh, she hadn't seen it. Oh, hooray. Let's see. Something you eat during the summer. All right, I'm ready too. 1, 2, 3. Snow cone.
That's similar.
What did you say?
Both iced things. I said popsicles. That's close.
Close enough. I mean.
Oh, she said watermelon. Also a good one.
Oh, Gina. Okay. Song with a person's name in the title.
I know the one I want to think of, and it's not coming to my brain. Song with. Oh, okay. I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Jolene.
Roxanne. That was good. I mean,
are you thinking of the Roxanne that's like the new one? That's like the.
can I tell you? I was thinking of both of them. I was like, surely. No, I'm talking about the hooker one and the new one. All right. Oh, something you might see up in the sky.
Okay. I think we could do this one. Well, maybe.
1, 2, 3.
A plane.
UFO.
Oh. I thought that one was going to be easy. Maybe. You might see one.
All right, here we go. A city that starts with the letter C.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I got it.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not going to be the same. I can tell we are not on the same wavelength. All right, I'm ready. Compton. What's she talking about? Compton. Oh my God, but that song is really good that talks about Compton. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Chicago.
Oh, we're the same. Look, we're on the same wavelength.
Regina say Compton.
Not what I thought of first.
Can I tell you a story real quick? One time I rode the Greyhound. Well, many times I rode the Greyhound from Louisiana to California. Well, okay, it was only like 6 times, but it felt like a lot. But we had like a layover. I don't know what you call that on a bus in Compton. And it was scary because it was at night. But you know what? Nothing bad happened at all. So this story is really pointless. But I stayed the night in Compton once.
Well, I have never been, but
Yeah, I mean, like it wasn't as maybe the bus is the Greyhound station is not in a bad part, but you know,
yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be, like a lot of crime and stuff. I did not see it, but I did see a whole lot of homeless people in and around LA, like more than I've ever seen. Like Dallas has a good fair amount of homeless people too. But I felt really bad about that. Like I felt so sad. There was just like streets that like were totally covered in homeless people, like the sidewalk. Like it was such a bummer. Like where are the shelters? I don't know. Anyways, let me not get off on that. Okay, last one. A sport with a ball involved.
Okay, I'm ready.
Dang. Now I'm not sure of myself. All right, I'm ready to. 1, 2, 3. Football.
Baseball. Oh,
Well, we got two of them right?
no. I mean, that was pretty good. And some of them were close.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
And yeah. I mean, yeah.
I almost think it's more fun to do it that way than writing it. Like, I feel like that it was fun to say it at the same time than to write it down.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. Look at me checking my mic. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me ask you all of those questions and giving me some of your time. And it was so awesome to talk to you and see your pretty face again and play that game with you. That was fun.
That was so fun. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's like really great to be able to like talk to people and talk about education because I'm so passionate about it. And sorry I didn't have cheerier things to say about education right now because teaching just like sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. And I was like kind of tired earlier and was like, I don't know if I want to do it, but I'm really glad I did. Like I feel like this filled my cup, so I feel good. I'm glad I did it.
Oh, I'm glad you did it too. I love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.